Hello, my name's Hazel, and I'm a 29-year-old woman. The past few months have been a wild ride, and my life is at a major turning point right now. I thought it was a good time to share my story with the world. Let's start with my career. I always wanted to work in medicine because growing up, I idolized my uncle, who was a well-known pediatrician. I worked really hard on my studies and didn't pay much attention to anything else, including dating. After many years of studying, I finally became an on-call nurse. While I enjoyed my career, I felt very lonely. About a year after becoming a nurse, I met my husband, Casey, through a dating app. I wasn't a big fan of dating apps, but I was tired of only meeting people at work. Casey and I had great chemistry over text, but I was nervous about meeting him in person because people can be different in real life. Thankfully, Casey was just as great in person, and we had a wonderful time together. We planned a second date for the next weekend, and after dating for 2 years, we decided to get married. We had a small, beautiful wedding, which was one of the best days of my life. A few months after our wedding, Casey got a call from his father, Derek. Derek had struggled with type 2 diabetes for a long time, and his health was getting worse. He also had other illnesses. Every time Derek called, I got a little scared, worrying it might be bad news about his health. This time, it was. Casey talked to his dad for a long time before telling me about the conversation. I just got off the phone with my dad, Casey said. Is everything okay? I asked. Not really, he replied. His health is getting worse. Oh man, what do you plan on doing about it? I was thinking we could move in with him. He needs 2 injections every day, and you're a nurse. Plus, he won't be alone at home. Why would you think I wouldn't be on board with that? I asked. We just got married a few months ago, and I'm already asking you to help take care of my father. A lot of people would be upset with that. Sure, but I'm not like that. Besides, I adore your father and want him to live a long life. If I can help him, why wouldn't I? Thank you so much. You have no idea how much this means to me. Hush now, we'll stay with him until he gets better. How about we move in this weekend? I would ask him to move in here, but he has a whole house while we live in an apartment, and it would be too cramped. Honey, calm down. I'm okay with this. Let's get some sleep tonight and work out the details tomorrow. Yes, I'll call my dad now and inform him about our plans. Okay. I was actually glad to be able to help Derek. After all, he was family now, and I knew how to care for him. Casey talked to his father, and we decided to move in that weekend. Casey was very concerned. I was worried about the move deep down inside, but Casey kept checking on me all the time. He kept saying that if I wanted to back out at the last minute, he wouldn't hold it against me. I reassured him every time that I wanted to do this. When we finally moved into Derek's place, the first thing I did was learn about Derek's medication. I took Derek to all his doctor's appointments and reviewed all his medical reports. I took my role as his caregiver very seriously. Once I was familiar with everything, I focused entirely on caring for Derek. Derek's behavior changed completely after I took over his medical care. He used to be very cheerful and carefree, but then he became quiet and reserved. I tried to get him to talk several times, but Derek never responded with more than a phrase. I asked Casey if he knew why Derek was acting that way, but Casey didn't seem to have any idea either. Besides, I didn't expect Casey to know, considering he was always busy and out of the house. When I asked him where he was going, he always gave various answers like work or drinks with friends. I was upset that Casey was showing so little care toward Derek, but I figured that being away from home was his way of dealing with his sorrow about his dad's health. Eventually, I gave up on asking Derek if everything was okay and instead focused on getting him better physically. Finally, about a month after Casey and I moved in, Derek spoke to me. I'm so sorry that you have to do this, Derek said. Why are you apologizing? I asked. I feel bad. This is not how you're supposed to spend the first few months of your marriage. You and your son are the same. He brought up this concern too, but just like I told him, I'll tell you this, I want to do this for you. Sure, but there are a million other things you could be doing. And none of those would be as important as you are. I want to see you get better. I don't think I ever will, Derek said. Why is that? You're much more stable now than you were before. This is how it always is. I get stabilized for a bit and then I crash again. Ask Casey, he's been with me every single one of those times. I was there for a few of those times, but now you're in my hands. I'm a trained nurse and have a little more knowledge than Casey when it comes to medicine. How dare you say that you have a lot more knowledge about medicine than him, Derek joked. But see, Your sense of humor is coming back, so you're definitely getting better. Let's focus on feeling good and let the future worry about itself. I'm thankful for you. I wish there was more that I could do for you. That's enough. I only want you to do one thing for me, and that's to recover and be as healthy as you can. Got it? Yes, ma'am. So, where's Casey? I don't really know. He's been running some errands. That boy is always taking care of things behind the scenes. I feel like I've upset him too, with having you guys move in. I can assure you that you haven't. He's just very worried about you. I guess being out of the house makes him feel better because he doesn't have to see you suffer as much. Just let him know that I miss talking to him, and if he could, we could watch the game together this evening in the den. Just a boys' night if you don't mind. That's a great idea. I'll let him know. I'm sure he'll be thrilled to spend some quality time with his dad. Besides, I could use some downtime for myself too. Alright then, if you don't mind, I'm going to take a nap now. I feel pretty tired. Of course, I'll check on you every half hour, and if I'm not here, just press this buzzer, and I'll be right by your side. Sleep well. I'm not going to lie, I had an inkling that Derek had been feeling that way. I was glad he finally felt comfortable enough to confide in me. I tried my best to reassure him that he was no bother to me. After Derek went to sleep, all I had to do was wait for Casey. He had gone out again that day and hadn't told me where. I texted and called him a few times but couldn't get through. I was beginning to worry, but about an hour later, Casey texted me to say he was okay and would be home late. I got dinner ready for Derek and me, and for the first time since I moved in, we sat together and ate. We finally had conversations like we used to. I gave Derek his night medications and sent him to bed. I lay in bed for another 2 hours, waiting for Casey to get back. I was really tired from the day. I ended up falling asleep, but I woke up about an hour and a half later because I heard sounds coming from the living room. When I went downstairs, I saw Casey sitting there, taking off his shoes and tie. I approached him and asked where he had been all day. Hey, where were you? Just here and there. Okay, well, I was talking to your dad earlier, and I have to say both of you think the same way. What do you mean? Both of you worried about how I would react to moving in here right after marriage. It was actually kind of cute. Oh, I really do hope you don't secretly mind it. No, I don't, but he also asked me to ask you about something. Oh, what is it? He asked if you'd be free this weekend to watch the game with him in the den for a boys' night. Oh man, I wish I could, but I'm going to be busy this weekend. You are? What are you doing? I just have some things I need to do. Ever since we moved in, you've been busy with something you won't tell me about. Look, don't take it personally. I just need to sort through some things, okay? No, I will not take that as an answer. Do you know how upset your dad is? What's he got to be upset about? You haven't been spending any time with him. He thinks you're upset about the move and that you're avoiding him because of it. That's nonsense. Then what are you running around for? I'm just taking care of all the legal things like my inheritance in case things go south with Dad. Are you being serious right now? What? I don't want things hanging open and us struggling later on. Your father is alive and healthy right now, and all you can think about is your inheritance. This is exactly why I didn't want to tell you. Why? Because I was going to say that you seem insane. Look, Dad's health has always been fragile, and he's always denied wanting to get his affairs in order. I never had that opportunity to get it done because I was busy taking care of him. I'm not saying that what you're doing is wrong. I'm just upset that you're only focusing on that instead of spending quality time with him while he's still here. If this is about the football game, then fine, I'll sit with him. Just don't make a big deal about this. Why are you being this way? He's your father. Why are you treating this like it's some kind of chore? I said I would do it. Just get off my back already. I couldn't understand why Casey was behaving that way. Why was he getting so agitated? I was only relaying the message that his father wanted me to relay. Besides, why would he act like spending a day with his ill father was such a huge task? Casey didn't give me a chance to ask him any more questions because he got up and stormed off into the guest bedroom. I went to bed feeling upset that night because I couldn't understand Casey's point of view at all. The next day, Casey approached me before he left for work and apologized for his behavior the previous night. He told me he had been tired from work and took out his frustration on me. Somehow, I couldn't fully believe that excuse. But at least Casey assured me that he didn't find spending time with his father to be a burdensome task. He told me to let Derek know that he would spend the weekend with him. Derek was overjoyed when he heard the news, so I planned out all the snacks and drinks they would need for the game viewing. When the weekend came, I left the house after making sure Casey and Derek were settled in the den. I made sure Casey knew what to do if Derek's blood sugar level got too high or too low. Then I headed to the library for some much-needed reading time. When I came back, both Casey and Derek had big smiles on their faces. They wouldn't stop talking about the game, and I was happy to see them back to their usual selves. That was the last time I saw Derek truly happy. A month after that, Derek's health began to deteriorate. His blood sugar levels were always through the roof, and he was getting weaker and weaker. One day, on a whim, I decided to take Derek to the hospital for a checkup. I gave the nurse a bottle of his medicine and asked her to check if it was correct, wanting to rule out any possible causes for Derek's declining health. Once Derek was settled in his ward, I called Casey to inform him of what had happened. Casey rushed over and was with me at the hospital within half an hour. "What's going on?" "Oh, thank God you came." "What's wrong with Dad?" "Nothing too serious, but his health was getting worse. I felt like something was off, so I brought him to the hospital." "Did you seriously admit him into the hospital based on a hunch?" "Well, yes. What's the problem with that?" "Do you know how much his bills cost?" "He's fully insured, Casey. There's nothing to worry about." "What is your problem with this?" "You're a nurse. You could have figured it out on your own. You didn't have to come to the hospital." "A hospital can do much more than what I could have done at home. Aren't you glad I was cautious? This is better than waiting until something bad happens." "Nothing bad would have happened. You just admitted him to the hospital because you thought something was wrong. You didn't have any evidence." "Didn't I say his numbers indicated his health was declining? I think that's evidence enough." You're going to ruin everything." "What are you?" I was interrupted by the nurse I had given Derek's medicine to. She pulled me aside and told me that the medicine was not medicine but sugar water. That was what was causing huge spikes in Derek's levels. I was shocked and couldn't understand how that was possible until I got a call from one of Casey's friends right at that moment. What they told me shocked me to my core. I started thinking about Casey's suspicious behavior. Derek's spike in blood sugar levels started a month before, right after the game viewing when I was out of the house. I quietly told the nurse to alert the police that Casey had been trying to poison his father. My heart was racing, but I knew that Casey had to be the culprit. I just needed to stall him. I set my phone to record and approached him. "What's going on? What took you so long? Why do you look so pale?" "The nurse just told me something." "What? I do not have the patience for your drama right now. Spit it out." "The medicine that I have been injecting Derek with was not the one prescribed to him." "Oh, how did the nurse find out about that?" "Because I gave her the bottle of the medicine. When she told me that Derek's sugar levels were soaring beyond belief, I thought that was odd, so I gave her the bottle. It turns out it had been switched with something else entirely." "With what?" "It was just plain sugar water, which would explain the high blood sugar levels." "Casey, why did you do that?" "You think I did that? You did it. I'm not the one administering his medication to him. I would never do something like that. All of this only started happening after that day I spent away from home." "Did you switch the label of the medicine into another bottle?" "I did not." "Be honest with me. Why did you do it?" "Why do you think I did it?" "Because everything adds up. You telling me that I was ruining your plans, you constantly being out of the house, never spending time with him. I had a plan for us to go somewhere today, and I was that way with Dad even before the day we watched the game together. Then tell me why one of your friends called me because they were concerned when you told them that you had found a way to get your dad's inheritance earlier. Which one of those jerks ratted me out? What did your father do to you for you to want him dead?" "It wasn't anything personal, okay? I just wanted to live a lot more comfortably. Do you know how many estates this man is sitting on? I wouldn't have to work for the next 10 years if I sold them off. Did you not think that if your plan got found out, I would be the one to suffer? I planned it exactly that way. What is wrong with you? You know what? I'm not even going to give you the satisfaction of a bigger reaction. You deserve to rot." "Is that the cops? You called the cops on me?" "Well, what you did was attempted murder. I just stalled you long enough to ensure that you wouldn't run away. You rat. Enjoy prison time." Casey was promptly arrested after that. I couldn't believe what was happening, but I knew I needed to stay strong for Derek. When Derek was in a more stable condition, I broke the news about Casey's crimes to him. Derek was shocked and heartbroken. He couldn't believe his own son wanted him dead. While focusing on making Derek feel better, I was also summoned to court several times to testify against Casey. Every time I went there, Casey just glared at me with such intensity that I felt really scared, but I knew that what I was doing was right for Derek. Eventually, after weeks of going over the case, Casey was convicted of elder abuse as a felony. He was sentenced to 1 year in prison and fined $10,000, along with time at a correctional facility for his behavior. I was just happy that Casey was finally taught the right lesson and hoped he would change for the better. While I was happy, Derek was not. Unfortunately, Derek could not get over his grief of losing his son. He became sadder and sadder as each day passed, and the day that Casey was sentenced, Derek lost his will to live. For a moment, I felt bad that I was the one who blew the whistle on Casey's devious plans and in the process, hurt Derek. But Derek must have sensed that I was feeling that way because one day, while I was giving him his medicines, Derek told me not to feel terrible about exposing Casey. He said he was sad because he felt betrayed and like he had been a horrible father to Casey. I tried my best to comfort him, but Derek didn't want to listen. Instead, he asked me to get him his lawyers because he had some paperwork to change. I did everything he asked, and about 3 weeks after Casey's sentencing, Derek passed away from a cardiac arrest. I was devastated because in my heart, I felt like Casey still got what he wanted. He was the reason his father gave up on his will to live. That was until Derek's lawyers contacted me to tell me that Derek had given me the majority of his estates and properties. The rest he donated to an old age home for abandoned elders. My heart melted at the thought of Derek's thoughtfulness, but I also knew I had to uproot myself and move to a different place. I had a year to change things up and make sure Casey would find no way to get a hold of me. So now, in about a month's time, I'll be moving a long way away. I'm writing this as a way to get everything that happened off my chest and as a reminder that good will always prevail, no matter what. Thank you for listening.